Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt. We are buzzing as always, still coming in hot from Mexico. And today we have one of the goats on the show. You don't often get a goat like this coming on. He is still in on, as you can see. Well, you can't really see his beautiful face. I didn't get to see his beautiful face either. Still don't know who he is. I just know him on Twitter. I know he's one of the goats in the space, and we at least get to hear his voice today. We have the one and only Ogle on the show today, the globally recognized cybersecurity and on-chain negotiation expert known for his work in recovering funds from major crypto hacks. He's the co-founder of Glue. You guys definitely know what Glue is, the blockchain ecosystem that features a primary L1 integrated L2 solutions, an application hub, and user-friendly service layer for enhanced functionality. He has successfully helped recover over 400 million wowza in cryptocurrencies from high-profile incidents involving platforms like Euler, Curve, and Kyberswap. Before founding Glue in 2021, he built several multi-million-dollar tech companies, with the largest achieving over 45 million annual revenue. His expertise has led him to a lecture at Ivy League institutions, training government agencies on DeFi, you name it. He's done it. What a friggin' bio. Ogle, welcome to the show, my friend. Pumped to have you on this afternoon. How you doing?
Thanks, Matt. I'm doing really well. I do want to say that it's now over 500 million. So it's over $500 million.
Wow.
On the recovery side now. It's this isn't a good thing, by the way. It's a bad thing. Does that mean people are stealing stuff like crazy? But it's a wild west still. And if we want to take care of ourselves instead of the government taking care of us, then we have to do this sort of thing.
What was the last one you did? What was the last detective work?
The last one was, I was working on Radiant Finance was the last one. It was a couple weeks ago. And there was one about 15 minutes before this show started that was a small hack, just a couple $100,000, but it's not public yet that it happened. So I can't say what that one is, but very small one. The money's already been traced. We know where it's going. I've contacted I think we're gonna get that one should be ended, pretty soon, pretty positively. But the last big one was a couple weeks ago, and it was Radiant.
How did you? Let's just jump right into it. No intro, none of the fun stuff. Before the show, I was like, "Yo, Ogle, let's talk about the market. Fuck the market. Let's get right into it." How did you get so good at this shit? Like, how did you become literally one of the goats in this space? How did you learn to track the bad guys down? Did you have a mentor? Like, give me the whole goods here. Give me the story.
Well, I've been in crypto for a while, so I understand crypto generally. Since 2012 is whenever I first came into the crypto space, the Bitcoin space in particular. But before that, and for a long time, I did what's called white hat hacking and in the Web 2 and Web 1 space. So for a long time. And I think that the combination of like loving and wanting the government not to be inside of crypto and having a white hat hacking background, and then combining that with years of business experience, which means I'm negotiating all the time. There's constant negotiation. So I was the CEO previously of several businesses. And so as you're growing those, you always have people trying to screw you. You have people who try to who try to, surprise you with things you don't want. You have people who do good things to you too. And being able to recognize like good character, what motivates people, what someone's KPI is, why are they engaging with you, how should you engage with these? These are all parts of negotiation. And so if you combine like a tech background, like a hacking tech background with negotiation, with a lot of love for the crypto space, you end up with like a pretty good sort of triad of like skills, I guess, that in this case turn out to be kind of useful. Now, all those together aren't particularly useful if you have a focus on your longevity, but I apparently don't. And so I keep on fighting with these people who don't really like me very much. But I think it's a good thing, at the end of the day. And I feel like there's a moral imperative to help out in the way I can. And there are ways I can't help out, and so I don't, but there are ways I can. And so when I have the opportunity, I do try as much as I can to do so.
I love that. And look, obviously Glue is the start of the show. We will get into everything Glue related. Walk me through the methodology in regards to recovering these funds. Like, is there a specific fuck up that the hackers usually make where you're like, gotcha suckers? Is there a light bulb moment, or is it the traditional, literally just like going on all of the blockchain explorers, connecting all of the dots, putting your detective hat on? What's the methodology? What's the method behind the madness?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of those, and it's also sometimes none of those. Sometimes it's the case that, in fact, we don't really know who did it. And that just comes down to communications, because no one really knows what you do and what you don't know. And a lot of times we know everything about the person. We can trace them back to their original deposit, or, they've gone through different ways of trying to obfuscate their funds, and they've done a bad job of that. Usually people do a bad job of that. Or they have Web 2 issues they've made, or they've forgotten about things in Web 1, like basic tech, because they just don't know, because most of these guys are kids. And so they don't know tech security from like the basic level. They only know like Web 3 stuff. And so there's a lot of issues like that. But A lot of times also we don't know, in fact, anything about the person. And so it comes down to the communications. And just because we don't know right now doesn't mean we don't know later. And they don't know we don't know either. And so a lot of that's just comms. I say, hey, look, I can tell you're very smart, because sometimes they are very smart. You say, look, I can tell you're very smart. This is a very sophisticated attack, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sending this message on chain usually so they can see it. I say, look, you're very smart, obviously. This is incredible what you've done. It's very helpful. Would have been more helpful if you'd done it through, some kind of white hat thing and got paid that way. But you didn't. You did it this way. The problem is, though, that what you've done now just ruined it for everybody, right? And so there are ways for you to get out of this situation yourself and not have to look behind your back all the time, not worried if you're going to get arrested in 3 years, not worried if you've taken money from someone who you really don't want to take money from, and they find out who you are and you end up in real trouble. You can get out of this situation by us talking, us engaging. Let's come up with a deal here that makes sense. Or you get a reward for being clever and pointing out a problem, but you don't ruin a whole project. You don't screw thousands of people, and you don't screw yourself. And that's usually the starting point for these communications. And people, I think people who do these things are not necessarily like evil people. And I think that if I come to negotiations with that in mind, it helps a lot. And if I can convince them that I believe that, which I do usually, it helps a lot. Because then they say, look, this isn't him versus me. This is him with me.
Interesting.
Trying to help me get out of the situation that I found myself in. Maybe I brought myself to this, but I didn't expect it to get so serious. I didn't think I'd be sweating every night. I didn't, you do something bad. Some people, they do something bad, they don't care about it. These are psychopaths. But most people, they do something bad and it racks on them, it hits them. But then they've done it. Like, what can you do? You've already punched the old lady. You got to deal with it. And so if there's a way out of the situation, and someone can offer you that way out where you minimally are, advantaged, but you also are not really, you kind of wipe away the potential of being hurt. A lot of times people are rational and they'll take that option.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never thought about this behind like the negotiation standpoint, more sort of just about leverage, but obviously you mastered the qualitative aspect of it too, which just sort of had my head spin, and then just even me for the future using that huge play there. One last thing on the hacks though.
Well, because they have been arrested before is the thing. Like, I'm not aware of anyone else who's actually gotten people put in jail.
Gotcha.
And so if some of the groups come and they try to do negotiation, they have no stick.
Right.
They only try to carrot, or they try a stick that has no barb on it. They say, there's no proof they've ever done anything. But sometimes people come back and they say, suck a dick. You can't give me. You don't know who I am. Blah blah blah. I say, oh, you know what? That's what these guys thought too. Look at the press release from the police department. Let me know how they're feeling now. Oh, you still think? What about these guys? They felt the same way. They told me the same things you're saying. They're incorrect. And so whenever you have like a little, a few of those kind of examples, and then you emphasize, look, I don't want you to end up there. I know you're a young guy. I don't want to ruin your life. You don't have to ruin your life. Just let's walk away from this. Almost like it's almost 3 out of 4 times. It's like 7 out of 10 times now. You can actually get some engagement and actually get the money back.
So cool. Okay, last question about hacking, and we're gonna take a deep dive into Glue. And my apologies if I'm fucking up the pronunciation here. I always hear and I've read about Lazarus, the North Korean group.
Yeah, Lazarus is one part of the North Korean hacking crew. Yeah.
Are they the most like sophisticated? How friggin' good are these guys? Could these guys literally just like take control of my computer in a heartbeat? Any stories or anything to tell about how good they are, or perhaps a better group that you're aware of? Would love to hear it.
Lazarus is so good. They're just so good. They really are. And I hate to say it, and I don't know how it happens, because I think technically about North Korea, and you think so many people are like living in squalor there. They can't afford even food, according to the stuff we've seen anyway. But somehow they've been able to separate this like hyper elite tech crew and get them really, 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 really good.
Insane.
It's like, where did you find them? Like, do you like pluck the kid when they're a toddler from the family and just put them into a camp? Their whole, like, what do you do? How do you create this? I don't know. But they created it somehow. And so these guys are very good. I would say that what makes them good is they're not just technically good. They're also very socially good. And so they're good at social engineering teams into doing stuff that will help them gain information or gain access that will help them to do a hack. And so most of the ones that I see that they're involved with, if it's not like a super, super complicated bridge attack or something like that, it's got $500 million in it, something like that. If it's something that's more like 50 million or 30 million or 100 million, which are big, but not huge, usually it involves social engineering team members, because those things, like the teams usually have money behind the multi-sig.
Yes.
And so you need to get into their system somehow.
Yeah.
How do you get into their system? Well, There's ways of doing it. And these guys are really good at that crap. So they'll come to the eighth guy who doesn't even ever sign anything. He's there every now and then. He's not even involved anymore. He was there early on, but they forgot about him, whatever. They'll go to him and be like, hey bro, what's up? It's been a long time. This is Paulie from middle school. Yada, yada, yada. You don't remember me? Of course he does remember Paulie. He hasn't seen Paulie in 15 years, but he remembers him. Doesn't know what he looks like now. Doesn't know what he sounds like now. But he knows Paulie wants to get into crypto. He's in crypto. Sure, I'll talk to you. They talk on chat, whatever. They spend months and months and months sometimes building these relationships. And then they can get access to the person. They'll say, hey, get us to a video call, bro. It's been forever. Send them the link. The link has either a 0-day software exploit or is a different thing for them to download. That is the way they get into the person's computer. Now they're in the computer. They have a keylogger. They can log the keys someone types in. They'll wait on them to go to a system where they have access that is important. They'll now have the keys for that. And then now they have a signature. They get 2 or 3 or 4 of those. Now they can do transactions and you're done.
That is insane. Ogle, I've also heard about where they'll make a fake LinkedIn profile. We'll work at 3 other companies to get legit references and then be a software dev at crypto company X with, $400 million bridge or with a $500 million multi-sig wallet. They finally get access to the wallet after building months worth of trust. Boom, there goes the ban. These guys are insane, man. The level, you know what I mean? And then I'm sitting
it's
here
incredible.
And again, I'm not rich by any means. I'm not even wealthy to most, but it's if they wanted to, they could probably rent my laptop. So you know what I mean? They could probably destroy me so quickly.
They're very good, man. I mean, they really are. Like to those people listening right now, I know it's very convenient to walk around with your MetaMask on your phone and that kind of stuff. Try really hard to separate all of your crypto stuff to a separate laptop, a separate phone, a separate everything, and do not put anything else there.
Yeah.
Nothing else touches it. Nothing. You don't have effing YouTube. You can't go to it. Nothing. It's only for doing crypto transactions. And when you're done, go back over here, you watch Netflix, you hang out, talk to your girl, whatever. But don't do it on the same computer. You have to separate this stuff or else you're susceptible to these problems. It's wild. In terms of the LinkedIn thing you mentioned, which I think is very fascinating, I had a friend, Manu, who I met at Zuzalu, and he had this idea of proof of network or proof of friendship kind of a thing. And if you had this on-chain proof of connections, then you would have a lot less susceptibility to faking information on LinkedIn, that sort of thing. So I think that there's actually a blockchain solution to some of this sort of stuff if it gets, probably 10 years down the road. But if it gets bigger, that kind of stuff can solve for it. But as long as we can just go on LinkedIn and press the button and say, yes, I work at Facebook without any kind of proof or anything, then we're going to have issues.
Very true. All right, that was an electric start to the pod. I wish we could talk about this for 2 hours, but the bread and butter is Glue here. Before we jump into it, again, you guys, mainnet is now absolutely buzzing. Walk me through the elevator pitch first, the TLDR, just so the listeners can understand what Glue is, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, so Glue, which is at glue.net, by the way, is very hard to do a TLDR of, but it depends on who the audience is. And so our main audience that we're focusing on is basic retail people who are walking down the road. So if you go to the Pancake House near your apartment or house or whatever, the people in that ring is who we're shooting for. So I think that eventually everyone's going to end up coming on. Just like everyone has a bank or most people have banks, they're going to probably have exposure to crypto in some way. And we're trying to build a way for them to very, very comfortably get access to that. And so we have a hub at hub.glue.net that focuses on that. So if my mother or your grandmother or whatever were to go online and want to buy some crypto, how do they do it now? Well, they have to figure out what that is. And they go to their bank, they log into their bank. The bank has nothing though. They can't do anything with this. They say, oh, what do I do? They go ask friends or whatever the case might be. Then they go to Coinbase eventually. Then they onboard, which takes 7 or 14 days for KYC stuff. And then they have access to just the stuff Coinbase has access to. And that's a problem because what that means is, first off, they're very slow to get online. Second, their exit liquidity. Because once it's gotten to Coinbase or elsewhere, then you're pretty much at probably the top of the meteoric rise of any tokens. So with Glue, we built an experience that's very familiar, but you get access to every token on every chain immediately. So it's simple, easy, just like a centralized exchange, but you're not exit liquidity at the end of it. The onboarding doesn't require you to have MetaMask. You don't have to even know what that is. You don't have to know that it's decentralized. You don't have to know any of this kind of stuff. You just click Google or Facebook, log in. We give you an address. We don't have the private keys. We give you the address. You click what you want to buy. We have a little kind of an app store sort of a thing where you can kind of click through and see what kind of stuff's hot, what's not. You buy it. And then we tell you, hey, would you like to earn a little bit of money with that? Yes. Click the button. Now you deposit into our lending platform. And wherever you want it out, you click one button, pops back out. Like it's super, the point is to be super, super, super effing simple for everybody as they're coming in the front door. You can use credit card to buy if you want to, use bank if you want to buy. You don't have to go through some kind of whatever complicated crap. But you are decentralized. You are safer. You are not susceptible to the Mashinskis of the world in this case because we're not centralized. All right. And so we made it very safe, very secure, very simple for everyday folks to come online is sort of the idea. Now, behind the scenes for like more techie people, there's a lot of pretty cool stuff happening, but I think that our primary focus is really like kind of retail. And by retail, I mean retail, not like I know what Solana is and phantom retail.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Ogle, you are on a roll. We got to take a quick break. Give a huge shout out to our sponsor, show Prime XBT. When we get back, we are going to keep buzzing on everything blue related. Huge shout out to Prime XBT, as always, longtime friends and longtime sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love the guys and gals at Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet. You can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. And now back to the show with Ogle. One thing I'd love to talk about is the onboarding process. When I was messing around on the website, I was like, this is all world. It is a legit 5-minute onboarding. And this is something that is just, absolutely bananas. And how do you get in no KYC so quick? What's the deal there?
Yeah. So right now, like you can't actually onboard your funds because our mainnet is not live. But by the time that the show airs in a couple of days, they should be live at that point.
Yeah.
And people will be able to legitimately get everything within 5 minutes or so. So the way that we do the onboarding is depending upon the geography of the person. They either will use Bankso or another partner to do the cash onboarding. If you do below $1,000 in most countries, there's not KYC laws related to that anyway.
Amazing.
Now, if you do above $1,000, there is KYC process involved, but ours will take single-digit minutes instead of 7 days. The main reason that we have a difference there versus someone like, say, Coinbase, is because we do not have custody of your funds. So their KYC process needs to be significantly more arduous and difficult because they can take your money. We can't. We have no. So ours is just, are you a real human, sort of, basically, so you can buy tokens with it. That's it. It's just basic credit card KYC, not we're a financial institution holding your cash. Yeah. We got to make, like, where did it come from? All that kind of, that's not what we do. And it's all legal, because we just don't need such a high barrier.
Gotcha. I love that. Next up, we got to discuss the L1. Was there any chance you guys were going for an L2, or was this like, hey, it's got to be L1 right from the get-go, and also just a bit of the verbiage. Glue's architecture combines a substrate-based L1 blockchain with 3 purpose-built L2 networks optimized for finance, gaming, and payments. Sort of the big 3 areas of crypto, like, pretty much covers it all. Walking through the story, how even the team, the founding of this, was this sort of the vision from the get-go? Was this like, hey, let's start with the L2, and then you pivoted to an L1 that combines L2s? Walk me through the whole story there.
The whole goal was to try and get to a situation where, like, I wanted to build a secure network that people can't get as easily rugged on, and that it was easier to understand things, and also where it will be fast and secure and all these things. And the issue is there's the thing in the crypto space, but we're really in a lot of places, but in crypto, called the trilemma, the blockchain trilemma.
Yes.
And so you can be fast, you can be secure, or you can be cheap, right? And you can usually choose two out of those 3. So you can be fast and cheap, but not very secure. You can be secure and expensive, but not very fast, right? So it depends on which ones. And so what we thought about is, okay, why don't we just make an L1 that only does communications between the L2s? That's all it does. There's no scripting. There's nothing you can do there. It only acts as a communication layer to the L2s. And we'll make the L2s use case specific. So one's really freaking fast. One's really secure. One's really cheap. And then what devs can do is they can make their DAC. They can choose, instead of getting a general all-purpose L2, like an Optimism or an Arbitrum or something like that, it's a little bit fast, it's a little bit cheap, it's a little bit secure. They can choose what's important to them, and then they can mix and match. So the deposit function of your DAC could be super secure and kind of expensive, but the part that doesn't need to be so secure, maybe the part of the game or whatever, can be really fast and cheap. And the user can share their balances across all the different L2s because our L2s are friendly. And so they just ping the L1 and say, hey, does this person have $500 anywhere on our chain? Yep, it's over here. Okay, not a problem. You're good for it then. So then you can spend your 500 over here. And so the communicate, you don't have to sit there and bridge all the time. We could just communicate with each other and do it that way. So that way, obviously the people who are building the dApps have a lot more flexibility, and the users don't need to figure out how to do bridging. The users don't need to figure out what that even means, what the words even. They just go to a website, click a button, deposits, press confirm, it's over. Like that's just that's sort of it. And so the idea again was to be secure, right? And some of security, a lot of security, is in making sure the user experience is simple, and it makes a lot of sense. And our goal here was to have that, like get rid of as many of the complicated things like bridging, for example, as we possibly can.
I absolutely love that. And Ogle, your bread and butter is cybersecurity. From a cybersecurity perspective, and guys, excuse the noise in the background, that is the drillers. There's a leak in the pool on the roof. But Ogle, from a cybersecurity perspective, can you let us know how Glue Chain sort of sets itself apart from other L1s and its competitors?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've actually done a lot of security stuff. So one good example of that is every transaction, if you're going off to out of the hub and you're going to the wider sort of Glue space, every transaction has the option of having multi-sig by default. And so what that means is not just a single transaction, you just press the button and stuff goes. You can require a second signature from someone else that goes. And so we have a thing called the service layer, and that you can plug into that service layer, theoretically anyway, and say, look, if I spend more than $5,000 a day at any point, or if I interact with any new contracts I've never interacted with, or if I, trade a coin I've never traded, don't automatically confirm me, send me a text message instead. And so if someone gets your private key and they go to do something and they try to send all your money to another wallet, or they try to buy a thing they never meant to or whatever, you get a text to say, hey, did you mean to send $100,000 to wallet whatever? You say, no, I didn't do that. Then it doesn't sign it. So it never leaves your wallet. Instead you say secure. Now you actually have 4 private keys in this case. And so you can then use one of your other ones, which are hidden elsewhere, come back, decline that signature, and then choose to send your money somewhere else because your private key has been compromised, right? So that's one thing that we have that you could opt into. Another thing we have is the Glue Security Fund. Basically, we've set aside a big chunk of money, and we set aside a small amount of each transaction tax, like the gas, that goes toward basically paying to chase people down if they steal money from folks on Glue. And so the idea is there's a background here. I've done this a long time. There's credibility. I think that I will do it. I enjoy it. Frankly, I like being a hunter in that sense. And so, I look forward to the day that someone comes on Glue and they steal 10 grand, because we'll spend $100,000 looking for them. 100% chance we'll do it. Mark my word. And so we have this money set to the side to make sure that if people do come, we are able to take care of them, down the road. And the idea here, of course, is not that we're infallible, that we can get back every single penny anywhere. But the point here is, if it's going to be hard to do this on Glue and you guarantee you're going to be chased, why would you steal from anybody on Glue? Just go somewhere else. Go somewhere where they don't care. Go somewhere where the answer whenever people get money stolen is, oh, you shouldn't have given your stuff up, or oh, you should have read the documents better. Go to those chains for that kind of stuff. But if you want people who are actually looking out for you, come to Glue.
Well said. Yeah, I couldn't imagine anyone's gonna go do that for you. Any other? You guys have some incredible sponsorships. You guys have incredible partnerships. Any other thing you'd like to discuss about Glue here, Ogle, as we are getting a little tight for time?
Yeah, I'll just say, so today it's it's early Jan 2025. We are finalizing our go live. We should be live in the next day or two. So by the time this comes out, I assume we'll be live. I think that the thing I'd like to emphasize is that we don't know everything, but I think that I hope the idea of what our goal is clear on this podcast. And so I would really invite and encourage, if you align with that goal, if you like the idea, even if it's not really something you care about, because you don't need a good user experience because you're like a DeFi expert or whatever. But if this idea aligns with what you think is useful for the future of crypto, then I would love for you to tell other people about it, tell your family about it, if you're looking for a safe way to get them into the crypto system without them having to go through all the rigmarole of Coinbase, etc. And then also, if you're someone who just, is behind this philosophically, please stop by Telegram or send me a message privately and tell me ideas. If you have things you think will be a big improvement, if you had something 2 years ago, you thought, oh man, it'd be really sick if a a system had this because I think this will keep people safer, make it easier, make it faster, whatever. Let me know. We're very, very open to that sort of thing. We have a long roadmap of stuff we want to do. But, you know, if someone has a really great idea, I know there's some of these smart people listening to your podcast. I'd love to hear it.
I love that. Last question here, mate. World Liberty Financial, you got involved as an advisor. I'm sure they were on your ass being like, yo, Ogle, we need you. Come on board. Make sure this thing's secure. Give us your expertise. Again, folks, my apologies for the drilling right now, and hopefully this will be edited out. With all that being said, how did that story go down? Did they approach you? What made you say yes? Do you think that has potential? What's good with that?
Yeah, they hit me up. I think I was traveling around Asia for like the Asian conferences a few months ago, and I got a phone call from one of the client advisors. Actually, he's a team member now, but he was an advisor at that point. And he said, hey, you know, just if you can give me some tips on how to stay safe, I would love it. And I said, yeah, not a problem. Now, this guy I knew because his protocol had been hacked last year, and I helped him get the money back within 24 hours. And so he knew that I was like able to help in that situation with security and stuff. So I said, yeah, not a problem. I'll help you out. So I gave him input. And then he said, hey, you know what? I'll be honest, we're kind of thinking about this, and I want to know if you want to do a call with the team because we've been thinking about you, like they're fans of yours, like, you know, we want to talk about it. Maybe you could help us out a little bit. So I said, okay, sure. I got on call. We talked about it, and we figured it out, and that was that. You know, eventually, it took me a couple of weeks to say yes because I wasn't so sure. With Glue coming out, I wasn't so sure, like, if it was smart to be choosing any sides publicly, so to speak.
Yes.
You know,
no, for
because
sure.
I don't want to. And this is before any kind of election outcomes or anything. And I was like, I really don't want to alienate half the people who potentially could be my customers here, you know? But on the other hand, I was like, you know what? It could be anybody building this protocol. If they can bring on the amount of people that probably the Trump family and that team can, it's very important. Who cares about politics? It's very important that those people be safe. And so if they're giving me an opportunity to advise them on security and make sure those people are safe, I would take it no matter who it was. And so eventually I said yes, and that's where we are.
100%. Well said, mate. What an episode. Really appreciate you coming on. Wish we had more time here. And again, so many incredible stories that you must have. We'll definitely have you on for round 2. And again, you guys are going to really make some waves, tear the space up, and we'll have to have you on for round 2. Before we let you go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally and, of course, Glue online and on socials?
Sure. Yeah. So for Glue, it's glue.net, glue.net. The hub is hub.glue.net. For me personally, probably the easiest is on Twitter, so or X or whatever. So twitter.com/CRYPTO crypto GLE cryptogle CRYPTOGLE.
Folks, what an episode with Ogle from glue.net. Truly one of the goats in the crypto space. Super grateful to have him on, and we will definitely have him on for round 2. And as guys, I'm really sorry about this noise. Hopefully this gets edited out. Like I said, I'm in an Airbnb right now in Mexico, and there is a leak in the rooftop pool, so that's where they're drilling away. Otherwise, I would not have scheduled these, and this would not have happened. But Ogle is a busy guy. We had to get him on. To the team, thank you guys for setting this up. And back to the listeners, if you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. And guys, keep on growing those bags. Keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.